Join us on RedArmy TV. What are you filming me for? I'm on the hot seat tonight.
Good evening, welcome to, couldn't even get my words out there, welcome to RedArmy TV. Joining us on the sofa tonight we have the fantastic Dave Roberts and the wonderful Jamie Dalgarno.
Wonderful.
Good evening, gentlemen.
Fantastic and wonderful.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to keep everybody on side. We're going to be talking about some not so good recent games. I hate to say this, it seems like we're saying it every week, we're going to be revisiting a match that we probably don't want to be talking about. So we're going to be talking about the Forest away game, looking forward to the Reading match that we've got coming up on Saturday, touching on the rest of the season and then maybe, touching a little bit on the summer as well, so join us and get involved. Dave, you were at the Forest game.
Sadly.
3-0 away defeat.
Yeah.
Penalty given away. Poor performance.
Yeah.
Tell us it wasn't quite as bad as we think.
It was worse than you can possibly think of your worst nightmare and double it. It was that bad. It was one of the worst performances I've seen. There was no passion. There was only Darren Randolph who could come out of that game with his head held high. If it wasn't for him, they'd have scored 6 or 7. Nobody else performed. We were second to every tackle. When we did have the ball, we gifted them possession. When they had the ball, we stood off and gave them space. I didn't see any drive. I didn't see any shape, any formation. Certainly didn't see any tactics. It was like you just stuck 10 outfield players on there who didn't even know each other and said, by the way, lads, just hang back a bit. Don't attack when you've got the ball. It was shockingly bad.
That's quite an in-depth analysis. Yeah, thanks very much, Dave. Jamie, did you see any of the game from
I've seen the highlights, and to be fair, I watched it on. I watched Soccer Saturday. I couldn't quite get a link on the internet, but I'll be honest with you. I went down to Swansea a couple of weeks ago, and it sounds an exact mirror image of when we went to Swansea. I think we didn't have a shot till the 65th minute at Swansea. On Soccer Saturday, obviously it was Bank Holiday Monday, I think we had Neil Mellor, and every time they went to him they just said how awful the Borough were. There was just nothing there for them, no attacking threat, so it does sound like
Our first attempt on target was a Johnny Howson header, which he actually meant to head across the face of goal but skewed it at such an angle it dropped into the keeper's arms and we all started cheering, singing we've had a shot.
Yeah. Again,
in the second half.
Again an absolute echo of when I went to Swansea. We had the ironic chance as well when we had a shot in the 65th minute.
I must admit, I don't know whether it was the same at Swansea because I didn't get there. I was working, but it was the Pulis out chant coming out of the fans.
Yeah, it was after the
first
first goal. After the second goal at Swansea. Swansea was a game after the game at the Riverside where we had the banner and a bit of discontent in the family end, and then it started then, but they're starting to grow a little bit louder now, those chants, I think, and understandable, I think.
Looking on social media, the reaction to the game, I'm seeing lots of words like, pretty much echoing what both of you have said about the last couple of games. I'm seeing lots of descriptive words like lacklustre, jaded, tired, no effort.
Don't get us wrong, it hurts us, and I hate to talk about Borough in such terms, but I think we've got to be realistic. It's what's happening. It's what's being served up on the pitch in front of us, whether we're at home or away. And I'd love to sugarcoat it. I'm as big a Borough fan as anybody. I've been following them since the age of 4, almost since I was an egg. And I love them. Yeah. I love the team. That's why I have renewed.
That's why it hurts us all,
Sadly, I have renewed, and I know I'm one of the minority that I've been speaking to with my mates, but I can't sugarcoat it anymore.
Yeah. It's a bit of a point you've touched on there. I was probably going to touch on this later on. We've all been discussing amongst ourselves whether we're going to be renewing or not, whether we're going to be getting a season ticket for next year. It seems to me that the club are releasing figures that a lot of people have renewed, but there's not a lot of people I'm speaking to that actually have. So we've touched on this, Jamie, over the last few weeks, that the messages coming from the club maybe aren't quite as clear as we would like. What do you think? Do you think it's crossed wires? Do you think there's a lot more people? I don't
know. I think this year's season ticket renewal, there really wasn't if you spoke to people, are you renewing? A lot of people said, don't know. And that was the response I got. Oh, nah, I'm not renewing. I've even heard people, a lot of my friends did in the end renew on the last day, but I know people who've held back and said, I'll pay the extra 50, 60 quid it takes after the early bird to see what direction the club's going. People aren't enjoying it anymore. I got that point when we had Gordon Strachan, and I got to a point where I just didn't enjoy it anymore.
Yeah.
Everyone dropped away. I knocked it on the head for a season, and then I went back, get the bug back again. But I think people have lost the bug a little bit, or that they're starting to lose it a little bit.
I don't enjoy it at the moment. I said this half a dozen games ago to my son. I said, are you still happy to come here? And this was at the Riverside. Are you still happy to come here? Because I feel as though they're wasting my time. I'm not enjoying what I've paid for. So why do we have to sit here? But, you know, my lad's as borough daft as I am, so we're still going week in, week out.
I was just going to say exactly the same thing. We're football fans. We do it. We do it. It seems to be that one of the points that you've just made there, Jamie, that your friends are saying that they're quite happy to pay the bit extra once they know what's going on with the future of the club. Again, to me, it just smacks, Dave, I'm sure you'll agree, that the messages coming from the club aren't quite as clear, or they're not as forthcoming as they should be. A lot of people want to know what we're going to do. You know, we've not heard from Steve Gibson since he said he was going to smash the league. We need a bit of direction from the club. I've not seen much dialogue between the club and the fans. What are your thoughts on that?
I'm not seeing an awful lot of communication coming out from the club, but I'm sure Gibbo would turn around and say he doesn't have to. You know, his priority is he's got a football club that he owns, and it's got to operate, so operate it will, and he's got a team of people in there who are making it operate. It would be nice to think that the club would come out, this community football club that we keep thinking it is, and we're being told it is, and we see it get marketed as such, would involve the fans. But I think we've got to realise we're in the modern day era now, and in the modern day football era, the fans are a bit part in the running of a football club.
Yeah.
Look, go back 30 years, and you could you could hang out around Ayresome Park and chat with the players when they came out of training, or go and have a coffee with them in the local coffee shop. Though that era's gone now, fellas. So
I don't even think it's necessarily Gibson that has to come out. I think
I was thinking that as well.
You don't get anyone really from the club doing interviews anymore. Like none of the players. All right, you get a press conference once a week from the manager.
We do seem to just hear the same stuff over and over again.
Yeah.
I mean, even throughout the sort of 6 defeats spell that we had, we were still getting players and the manager coming out and saying, you know, promotion's our target, promotion's our target.
But you want to hear that like after a game. You want to hear that after a game. You don't hear. There isn't much in the papers. There isn't much, you know, one-on-one interviews. You know that it's very little that you hear from the club. I don't think
the next thing you'll hear from the club is Tony Pulis is gone. If he hasn't, you might not hear a thing.
Yeah. And
there's all kinds of rumours doing the rounds. I've had people come to me, have you heard the latest? I've had actually people who have their ear pretty close to the borough ground, as in the floor, not the ground, telling me that they've heard on very good authority that A or B's happening.
Yeah.
And I think that's the next time you'll hear something from the club, because they can't really market. What I'd love to see them do is come out and say, hey, fans, we've had a woeful, in terms of performance, we've had a woeful season. We haven't done well in the last few transfer windows, but there's a reason for that. We need to cut our cloth. We need to save costs. We've got to rebuild. We've got to start again. To do that, it's going to take 2 years. We'd love them to communicate like that. But I don't think
I'd be happy to hear that word.
It doesn't happen like that in the modern day game.
Yeah. Getting a bit ahead of ourselves. Obviously, you know, we're going to be touching a bit more on Forest. Unfortunately, as much as it pains us all to talk about it, we've got a few fans' reactions, so we're just going to catch those for a bit now.
This was that bad. It was his substitutions that spoilt the game. 1-0 down at half time, you can take it to a penalty, and then his substitutions ruined the game once again. Tony Pulis out.
Well, basically our mistakes. Shotton mistake. Cost us. That's what cost us a game.
Couldn't sum it up. I think the 5 at the back all season just shows that the manager Tony Pulis is, and taking Besic and like Fletcher off at half time to bring that like Hugill on, done that all season, just useless to be honest. No words to say. So.
It's the same thing. And take Besic off, the only attacking footballer who actually wants to play football. You just make Boris be sitting ducks, waiting for goals to be scored, and just shows nothing.
Scathing words there from the Borough fans. I don't think anyone was happy after that game. Guys, Jamie, were there any positives do you think we can take from that game at all?
I think the only positives I saw again, I watched the highlights on Sky Sports, was Darren Randolph again. A couple of good, you know, decent saves, could have been 6 or 7 from what from what I hear, from what I read.
It's right. Right.
Yeah, but how many times have we said this again?
Yeah.
And I think it's a bit of a shame that unless you're going to Rotherham, it's probably the last chance you're going to get to see him on Saturday.
Yeah.
In a Borough shirt. Because I think he'll be the one. He's our only asset at the minute.
Yeah, I'd be really surprised, Dave, if he was to stay beyond the end of the season.
Well, it's not been pleasant for him, has it? It's not been pleasant for any of them, really, fans alike. But I'd like to think we can keep him. I'd like to think we can sit down with him and say, hey, Darren, you're still playing international football. It's not harming your cause being in the Championship with the Borough. And we've got plans to build, and there's going to be investment, and we're going to go for it again. But whether they can have that conversation, who knows? Look, the rumour mill is Tony Pulis has got a two-year contract offer in front of him. We don't know whether that's absolute garbage, which it could be. We don't know.
It could be. We are going to talk about that in the second half of the show. But yeah, for now we're going to take a little break and catch you in a bit. Welcome back. Again, as we said earlier on, joining me on the sofa, we've got Jamie Dalgarno and Dave Roberts. We're going to look forward. We're going to look hopefully forward to a better game than the Forest match last week. We've got Reading at home on Saturday, last home game of the season. Going to be a bit of a party atmosphere, I hope. Kind of go out on a bit of a high. Dave, Reading are 20th in the league. Are we confident going into the game, knowing the position that they're in?
We'll win. We'll win that one. Yeah, historically, that huge banana skin for the Borough, which we've slipped up on so many times in the past. I remember Leicester City, last game of the season before your time, you weren't even born, where we went into the game thinking we'd won promotion and we get beat 2-1. But no, I don't see it this time. I think we'll turn Reading over and we'll go to Rotherham still with hopes somehow of clinching an automatic that would be good, wouldn't it?
That would be pretty good, yeah.
Promotion place, yeah.
Jamie, how were you feeling going into the game?
I don't know. I think they've been on a bit of decent form. To be fair, Reading the last few weeks.
They were in a lot of trouble, weren't they?
They've pulled themselves out of it a little bit. So I'm not as confident as Dave.
Hey, last week I said it'd be a draw.
Yeah, I think if we score in the first 10-15 minutes, I think then we could score 1 or 2, but we'd have to have 1 or 2 shots. So
but yeah, there's not a lot of chance of that.
We've just got to score early, and then see where it takes us. But I think we'll probably scrape a 1-0 win against Reading, if I'm honest.
Yeah.
Oh, we're not going to back them, are we?
No. And then.
I mean, looking at our last couple of home games, obviously the whole game. I can't remember. We played the last one as well now. Stoke.
Yeah.
That was it. Yeah, we have done exactly what you've said, Jamie. We've scored a goal early. And then whether we've intended to or not, we've battled for the rest of the game. I can't watch another season of that. I can't even watch another game of that, to be honest. It's just it doesn't sit well with me. Those 2 games for me, we ended up getting a result not because we were the better team, but because Hull and Stoke couldn't put the ball in the net. They had enough chances, but they couldn't do it. Dave, what needs to change?
A lot.
Elaborate.
A lot. Tactics need to change. Formation needs to change. Personnel needs to change. Ambition needs to change. A lot, mate. Huge amount. I could sit here for another hour and a half if you want to really go into the nitty gritty and say what needs to change.
Yeah.
Obviously, there are going to be changes over the summer because the likes of Besic won't be with us. We're already talking about Will Randolph be with us. So any loan deals and things like that will come to an end.
Yeah.
So we're going to get changes, but hey, let's focus on the end of the season. The big question is, we fluked ourselves into 7th spot this season. Can we fluke ourselves into the top 6 come the end of the season? 2 more games.
Yeah. It's astonishing that we're kind of still up and about those positions, Jamie, especially considering we went on that. I was going to say a little run, but it wasn't such a little run. It was 6 games that we lost on the trot.
It's mad to think that 6 games have, like you say, we're still there. But if we'd have drew a couple of those games, we might be sitting quite comfortably in the playoffs and thinking, well, we've got 2 games against 2 teams in the bottom 6. We'll be confident. But those games have just that run's just completely killed us. And then for some reason, you've still got that glimmer of hope where Bristol and Derby play each other.
I'm praying they draw.
Yeah,
that'll be the best result for us.
Yeah, and then you're playing 2 teams in the bottom 6 where you should be looking to win them. but we don't do it easy. So
Actually, our last 4 predictions are spot on, aren't they? At the moment.
Yeah, we are. We're going to quickly look back at our predictions over the last couple of games. I think we looked at this. This was ourselves here at RedArmy. We were looking to see what we thought the scores were going to be and the results over the last few games. So we kind of totaled them all up. We all thought we were going to win against Stoke. We did. Scrappy result, but points on the board. Forest, I think personally I had us down for a draw at Forest, but we had a loss.
No way.
So again, big tick on the board. And then we think we're going to win the last 2 games of the season. Drop us a comment, drop us an email, let us know what your thoughts are going to be for the next 2
But
games
the big
going
question
forward.
is 73 points enough to clinch 6th spot?
That's the thing. We're at the point of the season now where it really is the meaty business end of the season, and it does depend on a certain degree as to how other games go. As we've said, Derby and Bristol are playing this weekend, I believe, is it? And this is what bothers me, the fact that we've played a game more, and we're going to look back at games throughout the season, as Jamie said, and opportunities where we could have had more points. You know, I'm sure Phil's going to pull out the old Rotherham at home chestnut where we had 76 million crosses and couldn't score. Those opportunities where if we'd have had another goal, this end of the board would have been so much different.
I think, you know, on Saturday, up until the 94th minute, Derby, you know, they were drawing 0-0. We were still in the playoffs.
Yeah.
And then they got a penalty, which I don't know if you've seen it, but it was never a penalty. But we can't rely on other teams. But at that point, you're looking and you're thinking, we're getting away with it again.
Yeah.
And then they got a 94th minute penalty, and they take it on. And I think they won 2-0 in the end. Was it? Yeah. But you know, there's a couple of games left to go. Derby play Bristol, and you know they've still got.
We still need them to lose.
Yeah.
We need them to draw that game.
Yeah.
But then also go on and each team to lose something.
Yeah.
But it's
an
a
awful lot
crazy
less,
league.
only 3 games left in their case. 2 games.
In theirs,
left.
yeah. It is. It's a tight one. I mean, listen, I've said before on the show a couple of times, I'm more than happy to miss out on the playoffs, clear the decks, start again in the summer, and
Will we?
go again. Yeah. So
Well,
I'm
we've
not.
got 3 transfer windows with hardly anything really working for us.
So I'm not sat on the edge of my seat, kind of praying and looking at other matches' results and other teams' results. I'm happy just to let whatever happens happen, and then start again over the summer. Speaking of which, Dave, you touched on this just before we went to the break.
Sorry, mate.
It's all right, no problem. Jamie, I don't know if have you heard the rumours that are doing the rounds on social media and things like that about Tony Pulis's?
I'd only heard them when I come in tonight.
Yeah,
I'll be honest,
it is a rumour. I must stress, don't all be writing to the club and kicking off, but the rumour is that Tony Pulis has been offered or has signed an extension to the contract that was due to end.
There's 2 rumours doing the rounds. One is he was offered a 3-year deal and said he would agree on a 2-year deal. The separate rumour was a 2-year extension was offered to him earlier in the season, which he'd taken up, but they're going to leave it till later in the season to announce it. They're the 2 rumours. They could be well wide of the mark.
Yeah,
There could be a whole pile of doings. We just don't know.
Yeah. I mean, Jamie, how would you feel if he was to stay on as manager and the things were to stay as they are? It's all well and good saying if he does stay on, he might be back in the summer, he could get some money, he could get some signings. I can't see that happening. Otherwise, it would have happened.
If he stayed, I don't know. I mean, I'm split about it because I always want it to work for a borough manager. You always do it, you know. You always want it to work for the club, but as the season's gone on, you look at it and you just think, like you said earlier on, you couldn't watch another season of it. You couldn't watch another game.
I'll be going.
What would
but
change?
I won't be enjoying
you know, they would have to really back him in the window, in the transfer window. If he's given them the targets, they would have to be in early doors, because if they don't, I think we'll just lose with the fans. I think the fans will stop coming, and he'll be on a one-way ticket to a pay day because he'll get sacked.
I mean, Dave, the fact that you've heard, and what we've all heard, the Pulis out chance and things like that, does that show that at the minute he's lost the fans anyway?
In general, have had enough. I think there's. I've talked to a few people today before we came on the programme, and a few people still say they've got sympathy for Pulis because he hasn't really been given what he's been asking for in transfer windows, and I can subscribe to that. But he is still directly responsible for the formation of the team and the tactics we're adopting on the pitch, and that's atrocious.
Well,
we've talked about this before. You know, he hasn't been backed in transfer windows, and he's maybe been brought to the club on a promise that he can do this and he can do that and do the other, but then none of that's happened. That's by the by. I completely agree with what you're saying. He's got attacking players that he's not using. He can play with more than one striker.
Paddy McNair, an attacking midfielder who plays man of the match in international football, and he's playing him at fullback.
Yeah.
I mean, all right, injuries have dictated that, but he hasn't. The kid. I mean, all right, I've probably been one of his biggest critics when I've seen him play at fullback. But put him in his natural position, see how he gets on. But you know, there's a few million spent on him.
Yeah. Yeah, and to be fair to him, he did have a good game against Stoke. Up until then, I wasn't massively impressed. You know, he was a bit average for me, but he did have a good game against Stoke. But no, you're exactly right. You know, the squad that he's got, the players he's got at his disposal, there's another way of using them. There is another way. You don't have to bring in 5 or 6 players. There's another way of using what we've got that a lot of people think we're not paid to do his job, but a lot of people think could help.
What's interesting is people like Michael Dumbrell who's sending messages on watching this show, and he's absolutely adamant. He reckons he's got a line from somewhere. Tony Pulis is staying.
It's interesting, the second rumour that you've mentioned, that they were waiting for a good time to mention it or to announce it. I don't think there's going to be a good time, especially knowing the fact that the fans have probably...
Just like pulling a plaster off, just get it done.
Yeah.
Just get it done and just let everyone know which way the club's going.
50 seconds.
Yeah, if it's true, do it.
Yeah.
Tell us. We've only got a short space of time left, but quickly, can we have your predictions for the Reading game, Jamie? How do you think we're going to get on?
1-0 win.
Dave?
1-0, mate, because anything more will give me a nosebleed.
It's more than, you can't take more than 1 goal.
Yeah.
I'm going to go, do you know what? I'm going to go for a 1-0 win as well. And just to follow the status quo, I'm going to go with the Sombalonga within the first 5 minutes, and then Middlesbrough to defend for their lives for 85 minutes.
1-3.
Please, no.
So yeah, let us know what your thoughts are, and join us next week. Let us know what you thought of the game after we've hopefully beaten Reading at home on Saturday. Thank you very much for joining us.